You knew when he came in the game, lights out, game over.
The best in the business.
The lowest postseason career earned run average in Major League history.
Yankees win.
The job that this guy has done for the Yankees has been phenomenal.
Here's a guy that's the best at what he does. He's got one pitch.
Just moves in on you if you're a left-hand hitter and moves away if you're a right-handed hitter.
You're talking about the best closer in the history of baseball.
On August 14th, 2016, Mariano Rivera's legendary Hall of Fame career, already honored with his number retired, was cemented with the highest honor the Yankees can bestow when he was presented with a plaque in Monument Park.
If you're talking about the people that are there in Monument Park, you know, starting with Babe Ruth, Mr. Joe DiMaggio, you have my favorite, Yogi Berra, and me, a humble guy from Puerto Carmito, Panama, and being on that group of men means a lot.
But I always will thank the good Lord to make me a Yankee. With that, thank you very much. Thank you guys, I love you guys.
When you're talking about Monument Park, it's a blessing for me, and I feel proud of it.
And Mo should feel proud because the Sandman embodied what the Yankees stand for 19 seasons, en route to becoming the greatest closer in the history of baseball.
Mariano Rivera, who is automatic for the Yankees, takes over here in the 9th inning.
When Mariano comes in, it's over.
Strike three. Ball game over. Yankees win.
He's automatic. That's just the way, that's the way I describe it.
See you tomorrow. What a job by Rivera.
When I see him warming up, and the game is 2-1, I said, this game is over.
And they bring in the best in the business, Mariano Rivera.
It's almost like money in the bank when you got a lead going into the 9th inning.
Mariano Rivera comes in and pitches 2 brilliant innings.
Strike three. Called. The Yankees have won it.
Mariano Rivera comes in classic fashion.
The closer. It's the one position in baseball with no margin for error. A team demands perfection from its closer, and Mariano Rivera has been as close to perfect as any man in history. No position puts more pressure on the player. And no player thrives on that pressure more than Rivera.
When I go there, it's gonna be against me, and I'm going against them. So I got the ball. I'm gonna have a chance to beat you. So I don't care who it is there. All I care is that I want to try to get you out.
You don't want to be up there having to beat Mariano in the 9th inning of a ball game. You get in that situation and you play him 50 times, you're going to lose 48 or 49 of them. There's no guessing involved. I can sit there in the dugout and tell you what's coming 10 out of 10 pitches.
Just a devastating pitch.
This man got the best cutter in the league, the whole world.
People kind of think the cutter was there forever.
No,
there was no cutter in '96.
cutter.
When did that happen?
This was my 4-seam fastball.
Okay.
I threw the ball like this, and now the ball started cutting.
So the pitch that made you great, they all were afraid of it, and they wanted it to stop.
Oh, yeah, because we had no control of it. And still, sometimes I just try to throw over the plate, and the ball just moved to the corner. Amazing.
Swing and a miss, strike three.
It's a good fastball, a live fastball, but it gets up on the hitter and goes like that.
Just moves in on you if you're a left-handed hitter and moves away if you're a right-handed hitter.
That ball looks so good coming in because he's got such a nice and easy motion, and then the ball just explodes. The hitter thinks, I can get to this pitch, and all of a sudden, it's off the pine tar on the bat. He probably breaks more bats than anybody I've known.
The only way I can describe it is that he throws chainsaws up there. When they hit their bat, he's breaking it. He throws so hard, and the ball cuts in so fast that he's impossible to hit.
Truth is, if the Yankees had the lead and Mariano's on the mound, there are only 2 words you need to know.
Game over, game over, game over, game over.
Game 2 of the 1995 American League Division Series. A rookie pitcher offers a glimpse of greatness in a role he was destined to fill.
And what a moment for Mariano Rivera.
Game on the line, winner take all. So much to ask of someone so young with so little experience in the major league level.
Mariano Rivera is a 25-year-old rookie from Panama.
And he was unbelievable.
He is bringing it. 95-mile-an-hour fastball registering on the gun.
That's no fair.
Mariano Rivera strikes out the side. 7 batters, nobody's got it out of the infield off him.
He overpowered everyone, and everybody was, well, who is this guy? Who is this guy?
Mariano's breakthrough performance against Seattle bewildered more than just the Mariners. It left the Yankees second-guessing their own preconceptions.
He was too small. I don't know if he has a future or not because he's so skinny.
Slender frame and recurring arm problems throughout his minor league tenure left the Yankees no option but to consider Mariano little more than the cousin of blue-chip prospect Ruben Rivera. His future as a Yankee was in doubt.
Your elbow was bothering you, but you didn't tell anybody why.
I always try to find a way to get it done. To me, that was making excuses, even though it wasn't an excuse.
He had an elbow injury, and I remember going back around '93. He was coming off season-ending surgery. There was a discussion about whether you protect a guy who, like Mariano, who was young, on the 40-man roster, or risk losing him in the Rule 5 draft. And I remember Gene Michaels saying, well, I know he's hurt, and I know he's come off the injury, but this guy, someone could take him. So Gene put him on that 40-man roster to protect him from the Rule 5 draft, and that was the first save in Mariano's case.
Given some time to blossom in the minors, Mariano began to harness his potential. And when injury struck the Yankees in early '95, Rivera got the call, one which at first he thought was a joke.
When my manager from AAA called me at my room that night and told me I was promoted or moved up to the big leagues, you know, I couldn't believe it. He always joke around with me and play around, and I told him, you serious? And he told me, yes, serious. I started jumping in that bed and I called everybody, called my family, and it was great.
He didn't have much time to savor the moment. Mariano joined the team in May, filling in for an injury-riddled pitching staff, one desperately seeking another starter.
It wasn't easy for me at the beginning, so I had to put my mind in a positive way.
But not even a positive mindset could overcome what many consider to be a limited pitching repertoire.
He's about a pitch-and-a-half pitcher, mostly fastballs and occasional slider.
Good to hit, straight fastball, hitters weren't fooled. I sent him back down. He went to Columbus.
It was there Mariano displayed a determined resolve to return to the majors, pitching 5 hitless innings in his first and only start for Columbus. But beyond the no-hitter, what really caught the Yankees' eyes was the newfound pop on his fastball and the numbers on the gun.
Every 5 days, we get the minor league reports with the radar guns attached to it up in New York. Next thing you know, 95 was all over this chart. And I remember Gene Michaels saying, no way.
I thought, oh, man, the gun is messed up. I said, let me call down and make sure that the gun was okay. I can't believe that he could do that on the gun. He's never done that in his life. 94, 95.
But Stick still didn't believe it, so he wound up calling a few scouts that he knew that were in the park that day to see what they got on the gun. And sure enough, 95s were all over it. No one knows why. You know, that's the amazing histories of our game. One day a guy goes to sleep throwing 91, and the next day he wakes up, he's throwing 95, hence the name Super Mario.
So I tell Buck, I said, Buck, we got to get this guy back up here.
Chicago was the site for Rivera's second chance, barely a week since his game in Columbus, and he brought his new heater with him.
So we start him that game, and he goes 8 1/3, gives up 2 hits, no runs, and he struck out 11. Now we knew all of a sudden here's a guy that was so hittable before from 87 to 91 on the gun. Now he's 94, 95, 96, and he's almost unhittable.
Mariano quickly found a niche in the bullpen.
Next time when I come up, you know, I was better. I was pitching well by the end of the season as a reliever.
He adapted to the role quite nicely. And after they won the American League's first ever wild card, it was time for some fresh-faced Yankees to get their first taste of October baseball. The team blew into Seattle with a 2-0 lead in the division series. And Mariano's baptism was unforgettable.
That was my first playoff. I will never forget that. Those 5 games was, to me, was going to be best.
Rivera pitched 3 games in the series and didn't allow a run. In the midst of the storm, he stayed calm.
It's not only tough to throw strikes right now, it's tough to breathe.
Game 5, game tied, 2 out, bases loaded in the 8th, and Mariano delivered.
What a pitching job by Rivera.
I did my job, but we lost, and I was feeling devastated. But I learned a lot, and I kept that with me.
At the start of the 1996 season, there was an air of optimism surrounding the New York Yankees. The nucleus was intact. Expectations were high, but there were still some unanswered questions. Like Mariano Rivera, who, despite a strong postseason in '95, was still somewhat of a mystery.
Didn't know any history, didn't know about his surgery until I got here. Didn't know he was a starter. In fact, we even inquired about possibly trading him in the spring of '96.
Tony Fernandez was our shortstop. Derek Jeter was the plan to have that position at shortstop. We lost Tony Fernandez to an injury. Then we lost Pat Kelly, our starting second baseman, for an injury this season. And there was a debate whether we needed to get another infielder. And I remember that spring, we do a deal with the Seattle Mariners for Felix Fermin. And the offer on the table was our choice of sending either Bob Wickman or Mariano Rivera. And it was a heavy debate. And ultimately, we decided not to do it.
So Rivera began the season in the bullpen, a decision that would change his career.
I was a lone reliever at the time. You know, as the year moved on, I started pitching well and doing well and well. So Torres decided to put me in the setup role. From that moment, I just take off.
Here it is. Hit it if you can. Couldn't catch up with that. Who's been better for this club than Mariano Rivera?
He became part of the formula in '96.
The equation began with strong starting pitching and ended with one of the game's top closers in John Wetland. In the middle of the mix was Rivera.
Swing and a miss. He struck him out.
The formula proved so consistently successful, it changed the scope of Yankee games.
They shortened the game, obviously, for the starters. You know you can go out and throw a good solid 6, maybe 7 innings, and here comes Mo.
You go to Rivera with the lead in the 7th. He pitches 2. Then you close out with John Wetland.
With him and Wetland as starters, if you got through 5 and Mariano was fresh that day, you had a win in the bag.
This has been the formula all year long. You have a lead. You hand it over to Rivera for the 7th and 8th. You hand it over to Wetland for the 9th.
We had the lead in the 6th inning. The game was over. If we went into a game or into a series, you know, we just basically say, let's try to win 6 innings. And if we do that, we're going to come out on top.
With Mariano setting the table, the Yankees were an astounding 70-3 when leading after 6 innings, and 79-1 when leading after 7.
He truly has been the most dominating pitcher in all of baseball in 1996.
A lot of people think this man should be considered for the Cy Young.
In fact, Rivera finished 3rd in the Cy Young Award voting, a remarkable feat for a position that never got much attention until now.
When he came into a game and got 6 outs without seemingly breathing hard, he certainly called attention to that important position on the field.
Rivera led the team in '96 with a .209 earned run average. Most importantly, he was a pivotal part of a team that did something the Yankees hadn't accomplished since 1981.
The New York Yankees are the 1996 American League Eastern Division champions.
In the playoffs, the stage was bigger, the pressure was greater, and Rivera was never better.
He didn't scare at all. You know, this guy welcomed the task of facing the toughest hitters that they had in the lineups in the 7th and 8th innings. And not to take anything away from John Wetland, but a lot of times the tougher hitters prior to him getting a save were wiped out by Mariano Rivera.
So he fans Hoyles and then Anderson. 75 home runs between them.
Mariano didn't allow an earned run in the first 2 rounds of the postseason. A World Series title was now in the offing, and Mariano held it in his hands.
Time is running out on the Braves, and right now, Rivera holds the clock.
I found out that year that he handled pressure very well. Handling pressure is one thing. Handling pressure in New York and in the postseason as a New Yorker is a completely different animal.
Rivera trying to get it to the 9th inning, and John Wetland. And the Yankees are 3 outs away from their first World Championship since 1978.
I said, well, I think we have a chance to win this game right here. When I see Wetland throw the pitch and get the last out, I mean, couldn't believe it when they were serious. I couldn't believe it.
Yankees are the 96 World Champions!
The New York Yankees have once again reached the pinnacle of the sports world.
It was the perfect ending to a dream season, and only fitting that Rivera set up Wetland in the game that won it all.
It's probably the greatest 1-2 punch I've ever watched in baseball for a year.
By now, it was obvious that Mariano Rivera was a rising star, even though he hailed from a country not known for producing major league talent.
Here is the Panama Express. Panama Express. Panama Express.
He'd come a long way from the streets of Panama, where the thought of playing big league baseball was often just a dream.
I remember those years when I was little in Panama. I remember playing with my friends and thinking about becoming a Yankee and play for a Yankee.
Mariano Rivera, who remembers fashioning a baseball glove out of cardboard in his native Panama.
I used to make my glove out of cardboard. You know, those boxes. And that was my glove. And I was so happy with that, you know. I was like, okay, you know, I have a glove.
It's amazing, Mariano Rivera playing catch with milk cartons and taping up rocks or whatever and playing. And these kids are playing for the love of the game.
As a little boy in Panama, I love to play baseball. I just play to enjoy it. Just play to have fun with my friends, with my cousins, and play ball. That's all I care about.
When you realize that baseball was a way to be recognized, a way to make a living, and you did what the other kids did. Whether it was taking a piece of paper and rolling it up and hitting it with a stick or whatever it was part of baseball.
I remember sometimes we caught the Bruin one pitch to get the stick, kind of like use it for a bat. And sometimes we don't have baseball, so we have T-shirts or clothes that we wrap it up with tape, make it like a ball. And we were happy playing baseball.
Most kids from Panama, the only thing you want to do is play baseball because they see it as an opportunity to, make a living.
I come from poor countries, and the way you see is a lot of poor people here, you know, not even average people, you know, it's poor people. You don't see many players that come from rich people, from Latin countries, you know. You see the players come from poor countries, poor barrios.
Slender Panamanian right-hander, and there aren't many who throw as hard as he does.
The passion for the game, not knowing if you could play it, but knowing that it was part of your lifestyle and then something you really wanted to do, I think speaks volumes. And when you do get your opportunity, you realize where you came from and what you had to do as a youngster to really appreciate what you have and not take it for granted.
Well, one thing Mariano certainly does not take for granted is his role as Panama's ambassador to baseball.
I feel proud because it means a lot to represent Panama. For this sport, nobody does nothing. You know, so I feel that I have to do something for them.
I tease him all the time because he's always having us sign some balls, and he says he's building a church, so he's building a few churches out of baseballs.
You hear all the stories about today's athletes and the modern-day ball player, and they're all greedy and overpaid, and they've lost their way. But Mariano, to me, is one of the best in the game, and at not only representing Panama, but giving back to his country.
But it's more than money. It's time. Mariano appreciates the life that baseball's given him, and he returns the favor back home.
Baseball came through, you know. If it wasn't baseball, you know, where would be tonight, right now, you know? So, yes, don't forget that.
He's a great example for us. He exemplified the people here in Panama. He comes here, he doesn't think he's better than anyone, even though I'm big leagues, I'm making millions, but still I work hard. And I come here at 8:30 in the morning. I'm the last ones to leave. When I see him, it's like, man, this is a great opportunity to learn.
Everybody now, you know, every kid wants to be a baseball player. And that's neat for me. That's great because, I mean, they see, you know, opportunity, something that is there for them, a way to grow and have money, but also do whatever they love to do. It is baseball.
Following the '96 season, Wetland left the Yankees as a free agent, leaving the closer role to Rivera. But Mariano had a question when he first heard the job was open.
It was going to close down. That was my mentality. I said, well, I have my job to do. I just be the settlement and do my job, and they will find out another closer.
We felt that you really couldn't pitch Rivera 2 innings a day every day like we did in '96, that we were going to have to eventually give him a shot as the closer.
And that's when Rivera got the surprise of his life.
I received the call that I'm going to be the closer, so I was shocked. Says, me? I never been a closer before.
It takes a very unique person to be the closer and be a good one. And you really don't know what Rivera is going to do as a closer.
The question mark I had was he would be able to be available every day like a closer needs to be.
And Rivera soon discovered that saves can slip away.
The only time I really saw Mariano struggle was actually at the beginning of '97.
Straightaway center field, hit well. Bernie's looking up, and this game is tied.
The first month was tough. And I blew 2 saves consecutive, and I was devastated.
High and deep into center field. Williams on the warning track. He'll look up, and it is gone.
He took his bumps and bruises in '97, but he certainly learned how to do it.
In fact, as the '97 season unfolded, Mariano began to conduct a clinic on the art of closing out a game.
Got it. Game over. Mariano Rivera saves his 11th game, and Rivera records his 18th save. Mariano has picked up his 22nd save of 1997.
With 27 saves by the midway point, Rivera was an all-star, and he even saved that game, something no Yankee pitcher had ever done before.
All of those National Leaguers who have heard tell of Mariano Rivera, here's your chance. Ball game.
When the second half began, Rivera didn't miss a beat. He'd go on to save 43 games, second best in the majors, and finish with a phenomenal 1.88 earned run average.
He gave them what they wanted.
But though Mariano had mastered the closer's role in the regular season, he soon learned that the postseason was a whole new ballgame.
I can see it as if it was yesterday.
We were like maybe 2 or 3 hours away from elimination.
2 out here in the 8th. And he will face Sandy Alomar.
2-0 pitch to Sandy Alomar, and we had a lead in the game by 1 run.
He's probably the most dominant reliever that I ever faced. It was a line drive, but I didn't think it was going to go, but the ball kept carrying and carrying and went out.
I remember throwing the pitch and seeing the ball run over the fence, and I was shocked too how he hit that ball.
It was tough for him. It really was.
We ended up losing the series, and it was tough.
And to see his reaction when I was speaking to the ball club, his head was down. And I remember when we flew back to New York to make sure I let him know that we wouldn't have gotten that far without him.
After we lost, I just sit and think about it, what I should have done better, and just turn it around in a positive way. But I got to put it behind me because it's past already, and you cannot live with the past. You got to move on.
Mariano used this profound moment of failure as a stepping stone to future supremacy in the same situation.
Struck him out.
Rivera went on to save 36 games in the magical 1998 season.
And the New York Yankees are the champions of the American League East Division.
And in the playoffs that followed, Mariano began his run towards history. The Yankees swept the Rangers in 3 games, then moved on to face Cleveland, where Rivera would exact revenge.
Ball game over. American League Championship Series over. Yankees win. Yankees win.
By the time it was all over, Rivera had saved 3 games and not allowed a postseason run. And for the second time in 3 years, the Yankees were champions.
Yankees have done it again. Number 24.
The 98 playoffs were just the beginning of Rivera's postseason mastery.
The career numbers are staggering in the postseason for Mariano Rivera.
His scoreless inning streak broke the Major League record set by the Yankees Hall of Famer Whitey Ford. And though the streak ended in the 2000 postseason, Mariano once again proved he was without peer.
For the 4th time in 5 years and 26th time in franchise history, they are the world champions.
And along the way, he was also a World Series MVP.
Your performance, not only in the series and the postseason, but all year has been magnificent. Congratulations on a great honor, well deserved.
If there is one player who separates the Yankees from the rest in the postseason, it's Mariano Rivera.
When you have a full stadium and I'm coming out of the bullpen, I mean, it's great. It's great hear those fans cheer your name and they want to see you out there.
And they see more than just a great pitcher. They also see a study in patience and composure, 2 prerequisites for the job.
Mariano Rivera is a great example for young people in trying to figure out how to get through life.
They need Mariano to hold it right here.
If you have to do what he does,
So he'll ask Rivera to get 6 outs, huh?
which is come in a totally pressured situation,
The Yankees can win the series.
prevail most of the time and fail miserably sometimes.
2 balls, 2 strikes. Rivera is set at the belt.
You got to have a personality like Mariano.
I enjoy those moments. Doesn't matter if I lose, doesn't matter if I win. Not just because I was born for that situation or no, I don't know.
Well, no doubt about it, Mariano is cool, real cool.
Mariano Rivera is such a cool customer that he's been known to nap in the early innings of a game out in the bullpen. And, you know, wake me up when you need me. I mean, he just never changes expression.
He's got the perfect demeanor for closing.
Your great players or great pitchers are great because they handle adversity.
Up the middle, base hit. 1 run is in. Everett around to score. The Red Sox win it.
I've been in situations like this before. Whatever happens is behind. Today is past already, you know? So we have to focus tomorrow.
Yankee fans had come to expect him to be dominant, much like he was in the first 2 rounds of the 2001 playoffs. But then came the final moments of the World Series.
Everything happens for a reason, and he knows that it wasn't meant to be.
In the center field, a good start for Arizona.
Throws the ball away. Mariano never throws the ball away.
In the center field.
You know, hits a batter.
He didn't hit him. The bases are loaded.
And then the double by Womack, and then the base hit by Luis Gonzalez.
Floater, center field. The Diamondbacks are world champions.
To beat him, that's what made it even more special because he's unbeatable. And I still think he is unbeatable, but somehow we found a way to do it.
I know Mariano put that behind him, from the get-go. He just, he has to. To be good and to be what Mariano does, you just got to be able to put it behind.
After another All-Star season in 2002 and 40 more saves in 03, Rivera proved he'd forgotten the failure against the D-backs with an amazing performance in a pressure-packed extra inning affair in Game 7 of the ALCS.
I told my wife, I said, you know, Clara, just call everybody that we know and start praying because I'm feeling so much pressure on myself.
And in the 9th, 10th, and 11th, it was all Mo.
3 shutout innings sets up the bottom of the 11th in Game 7.
The table had been set for Aaron Boone.
There's a fly ball deep to left. It's on its way, and the Yankees are going to the World Series.
When Aaron hit the home run, I mean, I went straight to the mound because I was just thankful.
Thanks to Mo's heroic 3-inning effort in Game 7 of the ALCS, the Yankees were on their way to their 39th Fall Classic. The Yankees would lose to the Marlins in the 2003 Fall Classic, but that didn't stop Rivera from piling up saves in the years that followed.
Mariano Rivera collects his 300th save. He got him. It is Rivera's 400th career save.
Like a finely tuned machine, Rivera would emerge from the bullpen night after night to preserve the lead, including closing the final game at the old Yankee Stadium in 2008.
The pitch hit on the ground to first. Grabbed by Ransom. Goes to the bag. Touches it. Ball game over. Yankees win, while the New York Yankees have won the last game at Yankee Stadium.
Saving the final game at the old house was a special moment for Mo. And in 2009, he achieved a special pitching milestone.
The 500th save for Mariano Rivera, the second in history to reach that plateau.
In the 2009 postseason, Mo tossed 16 innings, saving 5 games, allowing 1 run, while closing out the division, championship, and World Series.
Ball game over. World Series over. Yankees win. The Yankees win.
Mariano saved 77 games over the next 2 seasons, while making baseball history along the way.
Most of the fans here at the ballpark on their feet. Rivera sets and deals. Strike 3, ball game over, Yankees win, and it's perfect because the greatest closer in history now has the most saves in history. With 602, he moves ahead of Trevor Hoffman.
Trevor was the first guy to get to 500, and he lead all the way to 600, to 601. You know, and I was fortunate and blessed to be able to do my job and pass that.
Well, he's always been recognized as the greatest, and now he has the numbers to go along with it.
Mo entered the 2012 season at the age of 42 with 603 career saves. But even the immortal Rivera knew he couldn't pitch forever, so he began thinking about life after baseball.
When 2011 finished, I was talking to my wife, my kids, and as a family, come to a decision if I finish my career in 2012. If everything goes fine, I mean, I finish my season strong, I think that will be it. And I got hurt.
Mariano Rivera was injured, shagging a fly ball off the bat of Jason Nix in center field. Mariano had a misstep near the warning track, immediately grabs his knee, and he's in tremendous pain.
I didn't actually see him go down, but I saw him laying on the track. And then as all the team rushed out, I was looking around at faces, and I didn't see his. And all of a sudden, that kind of told me that this could be real trouble.
I grabbed myself between the grass and the dirt, and couldn't pull my leg up and twisted in. When the doctor in Kansas City see me, he said, okay, your ACL and your meniscus are gone, so you have to get surgery. And basically, this will be the season.
Mo, do you think you'll come back to pitch again?
At this point, I don't know. At this point, I don't know. We have to face this first.
I remember working in the Yes Studios the night that Mariano got hurt, and I instantly said to anybody that I was working with that night, Mariano Rivera will come back. He is not going to let an injury end his career.
I had to come back and say, you know what, this won't be the way that I want to leave the game. I never have an injury like that in my career. I mean, I have elbow surgery, shoulder surgery, but that was after the season. But this one was different. I had to make sure that the leg was responding.
And you finish in your pitching position, looking at the catcher. You push through the step. Push.
I had to kind of like learn how to walk again.
And squat down in parallel.
And while I'm doing that, it was painful. So I asked myself if this was worth it, you know, to go through this, to pitch again. But at the same time, the love and the passion that I have for the game allow me to go through all this and understand that this is a process, you know? And I was able to do it. I was able to go through therapy, and at the end, everything was worth it.
So in the spring of 2013, the greatest closer in history, fully recovered from surgery, walked into Yankees camp looking forward to a different kind of closure.
I already talked to my family, to my wife, my kids, and we came to the decision. So this will be it. It don't matter what happened, this will be it.
I mean, it's not too easy when you come to a decision like this, but it's official now. After this year, I will be retired.
I always used to joke with Mariano, what are you retiring for? You're still the best at what you do. Although he could still pitch, I think he could pitch today. He thought it was time to go.
I have give everything, and the tank is almost empty. So now is the time.
Guys usually retire when the game pushes them out the door. No one was pushing Mariano Rivera out the door. He was still an elite closer. He was still having a lot of success. So I understood why he was ready to leave at that point. But I also would have understood if he said, I think I can pitch for 5 more years.
And the ball game is over. Mariano now has 15 consecutive saves to start the season.
During his final season in 2013, Rivera treated fans to quite a show every time he took the mound.
Give Mariano his 28th save of the year.
And at every stop, he was honored with gifts from his opponents. But it was important for Mo that his final season have a personal touch.
I wanted to make sure that any stadium that we go, I will say hello and say thanks to people within the organization.
My name is James Harvey, and I've been an usher for 44 years.
Oh, sure.
I mean, this is just so classy, I just can't put it into words.
And I enjoy it. I enjoy every bit of it.
Thank you. Thank you.
Giving back is not a foreign concept to Mariano. He's a man of great faith, and that faith drives him to lend a hand in baseball and in the community. So it comes as no surprise that he helped rebuild a church in his home country of Panama and near his home in New York.
We needed to fix the church. It was 110 years old.
We won't be able to see the unit from the street.
We went across the street and looked. You can't see them at all.
To me, faith is everything. Because I have faith, good things are gonna happen.
And good things continue to happen on the field for Mo. He saved 30 games by the All-Star break and was selected to appear in his 13th Midsummer Classic.
Tonight we're gonna see something special. I know that. We're gonna see something special today because you guys are the greatest. You know, you guys here because you guys earned it, not because they give it to you. So when we're going outside, guys, just get everything that you guys got. Just give me the chance to be there.
Mariano saved 4 All-Star games, more than anyone in history. And although his final appearance didn't end with a save, it was still a memorable moment.
Pretty special moment here at Citi Field. Mariano Rivera standing alone on top of the pitcher's mound.
Seeing the National League and the American League team outside the dugout on their feet, clapping, it was tremendous.
The All-Star Game was a fitting tribute to Mo on the national stage. But when it came time for the Yankees to celebrate one of their own, it was a can't-miss event that was short on details for the guest of honor.
I don't know anything. They just told me to be there early, and that's what I'm doing. Definitely it's going to be a special day, knowing they're giving me a day at Yankee Stadium. I'm going to enjoy it. I'm going to enjoy every bit of it.
Having your number retired by the Yankees is a great honor. But in Mo's case, it carried a special meaning because he was the last active player to wear Jackie Robinson's number 42. And he proudly shared that moment with Jackie's wife, Rachel.
Seeing Rachel there and representing Mr. Jackie Robinson, I was proud to be the last player ever to wear number 42 and represent Mr. Jackie Robinson.
Oh, it's so wonderful.
Thank you.
And with a gallery of family, friends, and teammates past and present in attendance, the man who spent his entire career in control found himself literally speechless.
I have a little note and I kept in my pocket, in my back pocket, and I totally forgot about it. When they gave me the mic, the whole speech just came from the heart.
To my teammates, past and present, I love you guys and you guys special. To me and my family. To my dad, my mother, thank you for having me. I guarantee you it was a great day or great night. I don't know what it was. But it was great because you make a good one. And you guys fans are the best. So let's play ball, man. We gotta go. Okay, so I love you guys. Thank you very much. Thank you.
The whole event put together, it was wonderful.
Rivera finished the season with 44 saves. But unfortunately for Mo and the Yankees, they would miss the postseason in 2013. So the spotlight on his final game of the Bronx shined brighter than ever.
Hearing the fans sharing your name for the last time. I got emotional there.
Coming in to pitch for the Yankees.
Once I crossed those doors, I knew that it was that.
Number 42, Mariano Rivera, number 42.
I was trying to contain myself and try to do my job.
Back to Mo. And he gets out of the jam here in the 8th. What's new?
He hit me right after the 8th. That's when everything started changing. Once I came to the mound in the 9th inning, I couldn't do it. I wanted to stop and walk around, right? I couldn't do it.
Swung on, grounded back to Mo. Gets the first one away.
I was trying hard to contain myself.
A high pop to second. There's Cano. And Robbie makes the catch, and they're 2 away.
Mo has one more out to get in the Bronx.
19 seasons, a record 652 saves, including 42 in the postseason and 5 rings. It's hard to imagine how this moment could live up to all that came before it. And then it did.
How's this for drama?
Andy Pettit and Derek Jeter are coming up to make the move.
I saw him and Derek, and I lost it. I couldn't hold no more.
I thought he would shake my hand, give me a quick hug or whatever, and he like grabs me and just starts bawling. I mean, and he's just holding on to me, and I'm kind of holding on to him and hugging him.
What marvelous, marvelous drama.
It was a moment that I will never change, that I always will take with me to the day I die.
Yankees handled it beautifully. Mariano's career in the Bronx is over.
The long and cherished history of Yankee heroes number infielders, outfielders, and catchers alike. But never before has a closer played such a role in a team's amazing success. Mariano Rivera changed that forever.
He dominated baseball more than any other athlete has ever dominated another sport. And you got to remember, Mariano was doing this with basically one pitch.
The greatest ever. Mariano, there will never be another Mariano Rivera. He was unbelievable. I'm honored to be a part of a lot of his saves.
Rivera, truly one of the remarkable pitchers of our time.
Mariano's save total is a remarkable figure. I don't know if anybody is ever going to pass that, but even if somebody does come up and surpass Mariano's total, you're going to have a hard time convincing me that that person was a better closer than Mariano Rivera.
I know this. He's going to be one tough act to follow.
There's no argument that no one has ever been better than Mariano Rivera. He is the gold standard for closers. It was a joy to watch him. It was those things where I'll tell my kids, yeah, I actually announced games that Mariano pitched. He's the Babe Ruth of closers. He really is.